Hello everyone. In this video lecture, I will be discussing special collection and point of care testing. So the following are the objectives for this discussion. We will be explaining the principle behind each special collection procedures. We will also identify the steps involved and list any special supplies or equipment needed for that specific procedure. And then we'll be describing the proper patient identification and how to properly label the procedures required for blood bank test and identify the types of specimen typically required. And also, we will be defining and explaining what is the purpose of point of care testing in the laboratory. Okay, so the following are the special procedures that we'll be covering in this discussion. First is the blood bank specimens. Next is blood culture, followed by coagulation specimens. 2-hour postprandial glucose. We have glucose tolerance test. We also have drug screening or drug testing. And we have neonatal screening or newborn screening. So most laboratory most laboratory tests, it requires blood specimen, and it can be collected via venipuncture, or it can be through capillary puncture procedure. But however, some of the tests, just like the test that I have mentioned earlier, they require additional collection procedures, or it can be performed using other body fluids or body substances such as the urine, which is for our neonatal screening or our newborn screening. That is why it's very important to identify what is the need of that specific test, what is the sample requirement, what are the special preparations on the patient. Okay, so let's start class with our blood bank specimen. So for blood bank specimen class, the following are the requirements. So we can use lavender or pink top. This evacuated tubes, it contains our ethylene diamine tetraacetic acid as the additive. Okay, so we are using this one class for the procedures in the blood bank such as blood typing and also cross-matching. These are two of the most common or basic tests that we are performing on the blood bank section. And then we can also use our non-additive glass, which is the color red, for testing. So we cannot use glass, the gold one, the gold top. It's because we need to have access on our red cell. Kay if ever gold top ato ang gamiton, di ba, it will be separated through our thixotropic gel. So we cannot get the required amount of RBCs. Okay. And also, it requires strict patient identification and specimen labeling procedure. So later on, I will be showing you what are the labels on the blood bags that we need to take note for us to ensure the safetiness of the blood product. Sorry. And there's special ID bracelet attached to patient wrist might be used for us to compare the information that is written on the blood bag and the identification of the patient. And of course, it's very important to confirm the identity of the patient na dapat magikan gid sa iyang mouth the identity of the patient. Okay. So this is an example of our electronic blood bank ID system. So in there, usually class barcoded manggod ni siya, no? So we are going to compare the information of the patient on the wristband, and also by confirming the name of the patient. So this electronic blood bank ID system class, this one provides positive identification safeguards for blood product administration, helping clinicians identify the right patient with the right blood product with barcode accuracy. One of the most critical sections in the laboratory is the blood bank. I already mentioned this one to you before. This is very critical. It's because pag nagkamali ang dugo na gitransfuse on the patient, dili na biya nato mabawi. Okay, that is why we must be very careful. Dapat ang focus 100% on the testing during cross-matching. okay, in order for us to avoid mga mali during the procedure and we can avoid transfusion reaction. Okay, so this is the test that we are performing in the blood bank section. Type, we are typing unsa ba ang blood type sa dugo inside our blood bag. Okay, after identifying the blood type, so we have here ABO. That is the term that we are using for blood typing because we have type A, we have type B, we have type O, and we also have type AB. Okay, so that is ABO blood typing. Other than that, we are also identifying the RH. If you can remember, class, some of the blood types, di ba, na inyong makita na siya A positive, B positive. So that is the RH factor. There can be two outcomes. It can be positive or negative. Okay, so it's not only the blood type of the patient, class, ang ato ang tanawon, but also the RH. So it should match with the RH of the patient and the RH of the donor. Okay? Blood type plus the RH. Okay? After that one is a cross-match is performed using the patient's type and screen results to help select a donor unit of blood. And then we will be using the patient's plasma or serum and the donor's RBC or mixed together in order to determine compatibility. Once it is compatible after the cross-matching process, of course, it is now safe for blood transfusion. Ma'am, what if incompatible blood ang nahatag sa patient? It will result to transfusion reaction. And this reaction, class, it can be fatal. It can lead to the death of the patient. It's because nag-away, kumbaga pa nag-away ang dugo ni pasyente with the blood that was transfused to the patient. Therefore, there will be a reaction, negative reaction, can lead to worst case scenario, can lead to the death of the patient. Okay, so there will be agglutination, there will be clumping, the RBCs in the body of the patient will undergo lysis. When we say lysis, class, that is rupture. It will undergo rupture, and then the rest of the blood on the bloodstream or on the circulatory system of the patient will be affected. That is why the transportation of oxygen as well will be affected. That is why it can lead to the death of the patient. This is how we are going to label the blood bags, or these are the information that must be seen on the blood bag. So there must be a barcode, and then there's a unique donor identification number. So that is unique for every donors. And then what is the name of the collection facility that collected that blood. Sorry. And then registration number and license number of the facility. We also have the product code, of course, the blood type, and then what is the expiration date. Okay? Each of our blood bags, class, na siya expiration date. Of course, beyond expiration date, sorry, it will not be accepted for transfusion anymore. Okay? So just to give you an idea on what are the other tests on the blood bank, since it is very crucial. So, on the screening part, okay, so mo ni siya kung giingon before na not all na pag type A si patient, type A na blood, automatic compatible. There are uh, there are there are situations sometimes because we're in there are unexpected antibodies that will result to incompatibility. Okay, so that is why we are performing antibody screening. But not all our laboratories, class, are performing this one. Mostly, mga reference laboratories ang na-capacity to perform antibody screening. So, antibody screening, this is performed in clinical laboratory or blood bank that is designed to detect the presence of unexpected antibodies. This is usually performed, class, to patients na multiple times, more than 3 times, always incompatible. The same na blood type with the patient and the donor, different for different patients. So, it is, for a while, for a while. Okay, so the antibody screening in the blood bank section, it is performed as part of routine pre-transfusion testing for blood recipients in order for us to detect um, what is the reason for incompatibility. So we will be using the recipient's antibodies and the donor red blood cells in this procedure. So, in this picture class, this is our cross-matching card. So, you will know more about this and how to interpret this one in your third year. So, in your subject na blood banking. So bigger picture on the left side. Um, on the left side the picture, this is the result for blood typing. That is the ID card that we are using for blood typing. So are we going to differentiate that it is for blood typing or antibody screening? If the card class na siya A, B, and D. Okay? If the label on the card is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 or number, so that is for cross-matching purposes. Okay, so just recall your discussion on the sections in the laboratory. We covered that one already in the prelim, and I believe also it was covered in your PMLS1 discussion. Okay, the next special procedure that we will be covering is the blood culture. Okay, so in this process, we are using our blood culture bottles in order for us to collect a sample for blood culture. So the purpose of performing blood culture class is to identify if si patient naa ba siya sepsis or presence of bacteria on the bloodstream. Okay, so bacteria, because bacteria can cause bacteremia. When we say bacteremia, that is bacteria in the blood. Or septicemia, when we say septicemia class, that is microorganisms or the toxins of our bacteria are present on the bloodstream. Okay? So, uh, we are going to determine the presence and extent of infection. If unsa na ba kalapad or areas of the body that are affected, is it only the left side or the right side of the body? And then, indicate the type of organism responsible and the antibiotic to which it is most susceptible. So by identifying plus if ever na ay growth or positive siya with the presence of bacteria, of course, the personnel in the bacteriology section in the laboratory will identify if through antibiotic testing, if unsa ba ang suitable na antibiotic in order to kill that specific bacteria. And it is useful as well in assessing the effectiveness of antibiotic therapy once the treatment is already initiated. Okay. Okay, so usually 2 to 4 blood cultures are necessary to optimize the detection of bacteremia and fungemia. So it is not only specific for bacteria class but also for the presence of fungi. That is why usually dili siya isa lang ka site, but usually the doctor will request 2 sites. And always remember, if the doctor requests for 2 sites, it must be one part on the left and another part on the right. So it should be a separated na side of the body or opposite side of the body. And do not forget to indicate what is the location, to label asa nimo na part of the body gikuha. Example, right arm, right foot, left foot. Okay, so always take note of that. And in some cases, class, it will depend on the protocol of the hospital. The second site of blood cultures are more useful when drawn 30 minutes apart. So we should always check the protocol of the hospital if what did they preferred no for the collection. So some requires 30 minutes apart. Okay, so if the patient is in critical condition or antibiotic must be given right away, culture should be drawn consecutively and immediately from different sites. So let's just look at the condition of the patient, if what is the ideal procedure to be followed. Okay, so things to remember when performing blood culture. So, blood culture typically ordered immediately before or after fever spikes. The reason for this one, class, it's because pag si patient na siya fever, mas taas ang presence of bacteria. Okay, that is why blood culture collection is more effective. Okay, and recent studies shown that the best chance of detecting bacteremia exists between 30 minutes to 2.5 hours prior to the fever peak before the body can eliminate some of the microorganisms. No, so before the immune system starts its action, starts the defense in our body. So that is the best time to collect. So usually, class, it will be indicated naman on the request form if it must be as in it must be collected right away if unsa ba ang time of collection for blood culture. So that is why it's very important to check if unsa ba ang mga remarks on your request form because usually the time is indicated. Okay, according to ASM, ASM stands for American Society for Microbiology. So the volume of blood drawn for infants and younger children must be from 1% to 4% of the patient's total blood volume. So just look at the chart that was located on your table on the percentage that is allowable to be extracted on our infants and younger children when it comes to blood culture. So for adults naman, class, weighing more than 80 pounds that is equivalent for 36 kilograms. The recommended volume of blood culture are 20 to 30 ml per culture with a minimum of 10 ml per draw. Okay, so that's the amount of blood required for blood culture in order for us to have a more effective detection of the possible bacteremia. Okay, so blood culture, it is collected in special bottles containing nutrient broth, referred to as a medium that encourages the growth of the microorganisms. So you already know this one. It consists of SPS. This one encourages the growth of bacteria. So it is collected in sets of two, aerobic and anaerobic. When we say aerobic class, so this is the presence of an infection in the bloodstream and for us to determine the source of the disease. While anaerobic naman, when you say anaerobic, the microorganisms, they can survive even without the presence of oxygen. Okay? So, we should have or we should allow two different mode of collection for us to identify both the presence of aerobic and anaerobic microorganisms. So for anaerobic class, usually the method that we are using is the syringe method, the preferred method. But for aerobic naman, the preferred method is butterfly collection. Okay, again, for anaerobic collection, syringe method is preferred. For aerobic bottle collection, butterfly procedure is preferred. Okay, the antiseptic of choice when it comes to blood culture. Okay, we are distracting the microorganisms on the skin, and one of the challenges mga class when it comes to blood culture is that we need to differentiate if it's a contamination by microbial flora or normal flora on the skin of the patient. That is why proper antiseptic must be used in order for us to eliminate this normal flora and will not hinder the growth of the real bacteria that was causing the condition of the patient. Okay, so it is a critical part of blood culture collection procedure. That is why failure to carefully disinfect the venipuncture site during blood culture collection, it can introduce skin surface bacteria into the blood culture bottles and will interfere with the interpretation of the results. So, in order to minimize or risk the contamination by the normal flora or the bacteria that are normally found on the skin, the collection site requires 30 to 60 seconds friction scrub using the following antiseptic. We have our tincture of iodine, chlorhexidine gluconate. So this is recommended for infants 2 months and older and patients with iodine sensitivity. And also, we can use Providone iodine, and we can use as well combination of 70% isopropyl alcohol and our povidone iodine. So, the area that must be covered when we are going to clean the puncture site should be 3 to 4 inches in diameter. So it must be wide in order for us to ensure the danger of contamination. Okay, the next procedure, let's proceed with coagulation specimen. Coagulation specimen, the evacuated tube of choice for this one is, of course, you already know, it's the light blue. Okay, it's our light blue. So, in some cases, class, clear or discard tube must be collected prior to collection of our blue top tube using a plain red top tube. But again, it will still depend on the protocol of the hospital. A clear tube is required for all other coagulation tests, just like factor 8. So we must be knowledgeable, class, on what are the coagulation tests and what are the preparations on each of the tests. Okay? So the blood to anticoagulant ratio is 9 is to 1. If the test cannot be performed in a timely manner, the specimen must be centrifuged and the plasma must be maintained in a frozen state. And if ever, class, sa first mo na collection, gamay ang imuhang sample and you placed it inside our evacuated tube. Diba, the blood requirement for our light blue is 1.8. Na imuhang nabutang lang is 1 ml. And then, another collection, gibutang na pod nimo sa another evacuated tube ang 1 ml. And then, you decided to mix it up in order for you to reach the blood requirement of that evacuated tube. So that is not acceptable. Okay? So because we cannot follow the anticoagulant to blood ratio, it will be greatly affected. Okay, so for patients with catheters, so the first 5 ml of blood that will be collected must be discarded. Okay? And for patients na naa sila heparin therapy or they have heparin on their dextrose, it should be flushed with 5 ml of saline solution. So anyways, in this situations, we can ask the assistance from the nurseman if the patient is undergoing heparin therapy. Okay, the next one, class, is we have our 2-hour postprandial glucose. So, it is a glucose test on a specimen collected 2 hours after a meal. Okay, so pagkaunon sa yun si patient and after 2 hours, blood extraction will be performed. Okay, so it is an excellent screening test for diabetes and other metabolic problems. It's because, class, in normal person, it will be after 2 hours, very rare na naagid siya dako na difference on the glucose level. But for patients, class, with diabetes, it will be increased or significantly elevated ang ilahang glucose result. Okay, so another purpose of this one is to monitor insulin therapy. So the principle of this test is that the patient is placed on a high carbohydrate diet for 2 to 3 days prior to the test. And the patient fasts prior to the test. This means no eating, smoking, or drinking other than water for at least 10 hours before the test. A fasting glucose specimen will be collected before the start of the test. And then after that, the patient is instructed to eat a special breakfast. The content must have 100 grams of glucose or be given a measured dose of glucose beverage in the day of the test. A blood glucose specimen is collected 2 hours after the patient finishes eating. So, The first one that was collected, the fasting blood that was collected, will now be compared. Okay, iyahang result, it will be compared with the blood sample that was collected after 2 hours. Okay, after meal. So if there is a significant increase on the glucose level, it means the patient is diabetic. If wala man kaayo siya increase, it's not significantly elevated. Therefore, the patient is suggestive na wala siya diabetes. Again, we can identify na si patient is diabetic if the glucose result is significantly elevated. Okay, so that is our 2-hour postprandial glucose. Now, let's proceed, class, with our glucose tolerance test. Okay, so this one naman, it is used to diagnose problems of carbohydrate metabolism. So other term for this one is our oral glucose test, or our OGTT. So it will evaluate the insulin response to a measured dose of glucose by recording glucose levels on specimens collected at specific time intervals. So usually, class, this one, just to shorten out the procedure for this one. Okay, the patient will be instructed to fast for 10 hours. Okay? After that, pag abot niya sa laboratory, the patient will now be extracted with blood sample as the fasting blood sugar. And after that, a glucose drink will be given to the patient. Depending on the request of the doctor, it can be 75 grams sugar, it can be 100 grams sugar. Okay? And then, after that, pagkahurot ni patient sa iyahang glucose drink, mag-time ta og 1 hour. After 1 hour, blood extraction. After another hour, blood extraction. So usually, in this test, si patient na siya 3 blood extractions with 1 hour interval each blood extractions. Okay? So, this one evaluates the body's ability to metabolize glucose by monitoring the patient's tolerance to high levels of glucose without adverse effects. Okay, so this is the procedure that I already mentioned. So kindly read na lang the procedures, and anyways, naama po na siya sa inyong notes. Okay, so caution to remember, if the patient vomits during the GTT or OGTT procedure, his or her physician must be consulted to determine if the test should be continued. So, dapat, class, dili gud magsuka si patient. Kaya usually, as I can remember in our practice before, pag magsuka si patient during consumption of the glucose na drink, so stop good ang procedure. So mubalik na po siya pagkaugma. So another payment for the patient. So this is an example of the glucose drink that will be given on the patient. Okay, so napod siya mga different flavors, no? And then, this one, kining 50, 75, 100. So, that is the grams of the glucose that is present on this drink. It is very concentrated, class. Is good ni siya. And this test is also one of the requirement for pregnant women before mga anak. Okay, so to identify if the mother is diabetic or not. Because we have this diabetes, class, that is termed as gestational diabetes. So, a diabetes that is present on or during pregnancy. Okay? So, luod gyud kaini siya og lasa, class. Okay, the next one is our drug screening or drug testing. So, we are performing this in the laboratory. If you nag-undergo ka og training for drug testing, not anyone can perform drug testing unless nag-undergo ka og training. Okay, so you must take note of that, class, na this one, you don't have to renew your license as drug analyst. Basta nag-undergo ka og training, that will be lifetime na ang imuhang na certificate as drug analyst. So the usual specimen that we are using for drug screening is the urine. And it is one of the requirement before you apply for any job. I think that is one of the law in the Philippines no na before ka magtrabaho, you need to have a drug screening. Okay? So, ma'am, nganong mas better man ang urine compare with a blood sample when it comes to a drug screening? It's because class, urine is preferred rather than blood because it is easy to obtain, and the variety of drugs and their metabolites can be detected in the urine for a longer period of time compared with the blood sample. Mas dugay bisag 10 days ago pa nagamit si patient, so still it can be detected on the urine sample of the patient. Okay, so we also have mga random testing without any announcement, no, na pinakalit lang, kumbaga pa surprise testing for the employees. So, in a year, na random testing on the employees just to make sure na ang place is drug-free. Okay, so the following are the drugs that can be detected through drug screening. We have the marijuana, cocaine, opiate, phencyclidine, amphetamine, and methamphetamine. Okay, so you will know more about this class sa inyong medtech laws. You have a specific levels of metabolites that needs to be detected for the following drugs. So, kining discussion ako this morning, this is just to give you an idea on how this one works. Okay, patient preparation. So, of course, before the start of the collection, the patient must be instructed and the procedure must be explained on the patient. What is the purpose of the test? And advise the patient of his or her legal rights. Okay, so everything must be presented to the patient. And if the patient declines, of course, we cannot force the patient. And obtain a witness signed consent form. So usually, the witness is another medtech. Okay, specimen collection requirements. A special area must be maintained for urine collection. We have a different na toilet bowl class that is specific for drug testing. We cannot use the regular toilet bowl that we have sa mga toilet, ng regular toilet nato. It's because na siya water. Okay, it is waterless. Kanang kay na man mga tendency no na dito da imo kuha og sample ang patient dito sa tubig on the toilet bowl. So, I know some of you already nakasakay og eroplano. So, the type of bowl kanang waterless. Wala tayo kuan na water. And a proctor is required to be present at time of collection to verify the specimen came from the correct person. So, gina-check yun na ang packet sa ato ang patient before collecting if na siya yung mga ginapangtago dito ng mga sample. And also, kung mag-collect si patient, dapat dili gid sila daan ang pertahan. Okay, so dili po siya fully open. So slightly open. And then dapat tayo naka-standby na medtech. Of course, if babae ang patient, babae po dapat ang medtech nga on standby. If lalaki, lalaki po ang medtech on standby. Okay, so properly labeling of the specimen must be followed as well. And we are using a different type of ano ni, of collection container class for drug testing for us to avoid tampering. Okay, just like in this one. So dapat wala pa ni siya nagisi this label. Just to ensure lang yun class na wala siya nag-undergo og tampering, wala giilisan ang sample, and all. Okay? So the next one class is we have our newborn screening or neonatal screening. So the purpose of this is to detect condition that may have long-term consequences for a child's health. Normally, mga mental disorders. Sorry. Okay, testing in newborn babies for hormonal, genetic, metabolic, and other disorders before going to discharge from a hospital is known as newborn screening. So in the Philippines class, this one is stated on the Republic Act number 9288, also known as Newborn Screening Act of 2004. So in April 7, 2004, it was approved by the former President Gloria Macapagal Arroyo that all of the babies in the Philippines must undergo newborn screening. Okay, again, It's April 7, 2004. So I think um all of you already naamoy mga newborn screening test. Okay, so this is an example of a newborn screening. After puncturing the heel of the baby, a drop of blood uh, dapat naa siya inside that circle mark. So, dili dapat mag-touch ang heel ni baby on the filter. Okay, dapat drop lang yun siya class in order to avoid contamination. Okay, so why do we need to perform newborn screening on our babies? So, um, in able for us to detect and treat certain conditions before the baby becomes ill, because usually the diseases that will be detected in this procedure class kay and it is treatable. Pwede pa yun siya matreat on the early stage or early life of the baby. Okay, so the country's policy protects and promotes the newborn's right to health, which is necessary for survival and healthy development as a normal individual. So, the baby must be 24 hours old, okay, before the collection. And the timing for screening is essential as certain conditions might go undetected if the blood sample is taken before 24 hours and resampling must be needed. Again, ang edad dapat ni baby for collection for newborn screening is 24 hours old. Okay, so the following are the disorders that can be detected in newborn screening. So the first one is we have G6PD or glucose 6-phosphate dehydrogenase enzyme. So this one class is ang baby is wala siya enzyme na G6PD. This one results to rupturing of the RBCs, or we call this one hemolysis. Okay, so naalala na yung mga certain food that are not recommended for the baby, certain drugs na dili dapat ihatag sa baby in order for that to not trigger the hemolysis. The next one is galactosemia. So, the baby is not able to metabolize a certain type of sugar called galactose. So, the baby will not be allowed to eat the following: breast milk, cow's milk, dairy products. So, naalay alternative na ginahatag ang doctors, no? Since dili man pwede si baby to drink breast milk. Okay? The next one is we have our congenital hypothyroidism. So, the patient will have partial or total loss of function of the thyroid gland. So, you already know this one. The function of our thyroid gland is to release hormones. Okay, once dili proper ang function of thyroid gland, of course, the function of these hormones will not be reflected on the body of the patient. The next one is congenital adrenal hyperplasia. So this one naman is on the adrenal glands. Okay, so this one naman related to hormones. So we don't have enzymes in order for us to create hormones. And the last one class is phenylketonuria. So this is a rare genetic condition that causes an amino acid cause phenylalanine to build up in the body. It's because um, um, wala tay gene to convert phenylalanine to tyrosine. That is why si phenylalanine nag-build up lang siya on the body. Okay, so the signs and symptoms on the baby will be mga delayed development, mga usually more on development on the brain of the baby. So these five are the basic na mga diseases that can be detected by newborn screening in the Philippines. In your book class, there are other conditions, but I think that is applicable for other countries. But in the Philippines, maagyod na siya ang five, ang pinaka basic. Okay? So, you will know more about this in your medtech class. Okay, mas specific pa na discussion on each of these conditions. So, kuan lang to siya, just to give you a background. Okay, so that is for our special procedure. Now, let's proceed class with our point of care testing. Okay, so for our point of care testing naman, very short lang yun ang discussion on this. Other name is alternate site testing. We have ancillary or near patient testing. So basically, we are bringing the laboratory testing on the location of the patient. Okay, so no need to send the sample of the patient into the laboratory. Kumbaga pa, gidala na to ang machine on the bedside of the patient. Okay, the following are the benefits of point of care testing. Of course, convenience on the patient since the patient dili na niya kinahanglan mulakaw muadto sa laboratory. Short turnaround time. It's because after dropping the blood sample, nanadayan siya yung result after how many seconds lang. And deliver prompt medical attention since the sample can be identified right away. And of course, since medical attention will be given immediately, patient recovery, of course, will also be increased. Okay, so of course, the person that must be performing this one inside the hospital must be trained as well. Dili lang pwede nga kung kinsa-kinsa lang. So advantages of POCT, shorter time it takes to obtain a result, and results are presented in a way that is easier to understand since we have a POCT as well class that can be performed sa mga balay lang. And can also be performed by people who have not had formal laboratory training. But the disadvantages of this one is errors may be more frequent because our POCT is generally less controlled than the laboratory. Usahay lang siya mag-undergo og quality control and quality assurance. That is why mas prone siya sa error. And results can be at higher risk of external interference. So the most common POCT that we have is the glucose testing. Okay, so it is small, it is portable, and it is inexpensive. So we have two types of meters or analyzers. We have the individual's personal use, the ones that the patient can bring their home, and we also have the the meter that can be used inside the healthcare setting only. So, examples of the brands of glucose testing na mga analyzers or meters. So, we have the following list. So, these are the pictures of our glucose testing na POCT. So, just capillary puncture on the finger tip, and then one drop lang sa blood, and then automatic, i-analyze na dayon siya sa atuang kining glucose analyzer. Okay, so that's the end of our discussion. Thank you so much and have a great day.